This is Shaun Sport in podcast form.
Well, Flag Mantle's back on the agenda all of a sudden. Geez, a roller coaster, isn't it?
Yes,
I mean,
sure
you're not
is.
even part of the Purple Army Nat, but it's a roller coaster being on the outside, isn't it?
Yeah, no, for sure.
Jordan Clark is our docker. Great game on the weekend against the Giants. I'm not sure how many people would have picked you, but there have been signs that, you know, he's certainly capable of beating teams at the top end of the ladder.
Beating teams.
Yeah, what do you mean no one picked us? We're never in doubt, in my mind.
Yeah, that's the spirit.
Oh, it's just that we saw you play against St Kilda a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
That would have been the kernel of doubt, but you guys were great.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. And I actually learnt that after the game we hadn't ever won there or anything like that. So, no, it's pretty
Yeah, I
cool.
thought that was. Yeah, I didn't know if that was right. I swear my mum went into a winning game, or she must have sat afterwards and we lost. Now that I think about it, because I swear she came
We've
home
got
and
a
she was
stat
really happy
here.
after. But
Fremantle have never lost a game when they've competed under their Indigenous dual name of Wallula. You've
that is
never
true.
lost as Wallula.
That's true.
Yeah, no.
That's
I think-
amazing.
Is it 4 wins and a draw?
4 wins and draw.
Yeah.
Yep.
Against Pies last year, I believe.
And so you play as Wallula this weekend as well.
Yep.
So it's looking good.
Port Adelaide Saturday night.
Guaranteed.
They're coming off a great game.
No, they're in trouble. Ken Hinkley, and that whole stuff with him at the start of the year.
Oh, yeah, it's terrible.
Because it only takes a little bit to kind of throw organisations when they're at such a fine end of professional sport off, and I think that's one of the case. But that aside, the game on the weekend, there was a lot to like. What was the standouts for you, mate?
Yeah, I think for me it was probably just the way we played, to be honest. It felt like there was, it might be weird that I say this and people might disagree, but there was no clear standouts, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I think
Yes.
everyone sort of nailed their role. We just played a gutsy team effort.
and it came together. It gelled.
Yep.
Yeah.
And everyone bangs on about how our ball movement was and we scored more, but the game wasn't sexy at all. There was a lot of turnovers. It was a bit scrappy. It was a bit slippery. But we just butted up and kept getting numbers to the contest and ended up, it was like an arm wrestle and we just happened to win it a bit earlier in the game and were able to kick away.
It was interesting you say that because the Eagles' victory on the weekend was exactly the same. It was a numbers game and they had contributors across the board, as did you guys. But you've been playing really well lately, Clark. You've hit really good vein of form. Not that you were playing poorly before, but you're taking it to the next level,
Getting
which is
backpedaling.
the All-Australian stuff that you spoke about last year.
Yeah, obviously, no matter what you do, you want to do it well. So, but yeah, no, I completely understand that sometimes you're not always at the best level you want to be at, but when you are, you just got to keep, doing the right things, butter up the right way. And yeah, obviously the All-Australian stuff and all that talk, that's not at the front of my mind ever. So I just want to be winning games of footy, and when I feel like I'm playing better and contributing more to the team, I'm doing my part, and it makes us a better team, as do every individual in that team as well.
They're a pretty interesting side too, the GWS Giants, because they're laden with talent across the board. Some of my favourite
Jesse
players
Hogan was
play them.
coming off, he had 7 goals in the game before. And we know what he's capable of. So to hold him, it was good.
Well, absolutely. And Nat, he kicked 6 goals 4 on Brendan Cox last year, and Cox did a super job.
Yeah.
But I'd imagine it was team defence. It was the difference.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, obviously, GWS, I don't think I've ever seen them move the ball so slow, go sideways, kick it long down the line, like with their ball.
And that's a
users in
sign
the
of
back
tight
half.
defence, yeah.
Yeah, and it's probably an area that we hadn't nailed this year, to be honest. So to come out and actually take it right away from them and take the opposition's strength away, I think, we talked at the club a little bit yesterday that we actually got to take a lot of pride and a lot of enjoyment out of taking opposition's strength away. And, on the weekend, it set the game up for us. So
So I take it the Monday review's a lot more fun when you come off a win like that, yeah?
the whole weekend's a lot more fun. The 6-hour
trip
flight
home.
back's a lot more fun too.
You watch tape, right?
Yep.
So when you know something bad's coming, you're dreading it. But if you know you're about to do an awesome play, do you get up and about like, here I come?
Yeah, you often might even yell out to the coach, let it roll.
Play that bit, yeah.
Go short. For God's sake.
My favourite comment, though, on the flip side of that is if you do make a horror mistake, Jay always gets up in front of the group and goes, it's not about the individual, cut the head off the player. It's not
Cut
about
the
the
head off the
individual.
player.
It almost
we can still
highlights
see your
the
number.
individual. Yeah. Anything he's highlighting that you've made a big blue and everybody look at this. So no, it's all a part of being in a footy club. It's the stuff that you laugh about at the end of the day. So it's good fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Clark, just off air, I just asked you about your favourite footy player ever, or the guy that you thought was
Most impressive,
amazing. And you were going to elaborate, but can you tell us who that is?
Yeah, I obviously was lucky enough to be drafted to Geelong at a pretty good time, and there was the Joel Selwoods, who I'm very biased, but he's probably one of my favourites of all time because we have a pretty good relationship. But no, Gary Ablett Jr. is just one for me. I sort of got him at the back end of his career, but what he was able to do still as a forward and adapt his game to, I suppose, the modern game. And have such a great impact it was amazing to watch firsthand. And I think he was just more even impressive about the type of person he is. He's had so much time for everyone.
So freakish talent, but also backed it up with just being a solid bloke.
If there was 3,000 kids lined up in the street and wanted his signature, he would sign all 3,000.
Yeah.
He wouldn't.
Oh, that's so good.
That's good, isn't it? Because Shaun literally just big don't argue and away
well,
goes.
you know.
How much money you got?
Yeah.
Well, you're looking at me when you say that, Ross. There's not much. I can give you the big tip.
What about people like Dusty Martin? How did he sit as far as talent compared to, say?
Yeah, no, Dusty obviously is a superstar of the game, but I think, those players are always really special from afar, but until you actually get to see what they do day to day and what they've got going on, their life challenges, and them on a personal base, and then they still perform, it's sort of like a wow moment.
Yeah.
So, it's pretty
Cool.
It's a really good point. I got to play. Matthew Pavlich is the greatest player that's played for Freo, I would say, and Peter Bell's certainly in the top 3 with Fifey, I would think. And I got to play my whole life with him since we were young kids, right? And watching his football in particular. If I'm going to concentrate on him, but he never turned up to a day and was never not on song.
Yes. So when he turned up, he was always switched on, ready to go. There was never a down day.
Never. And I remember speaking to my dad one day after a game that I played poorly, and everything went my way. And sometimes I was in a moment where I was complaining that I wasn't getting to family, that is. I wish I'd play in the middle. They give me an opportunity. And I got an opportunity to play, and I didn't deliver. And Belly never... It never was a moment where he didn't deliver. And that particular year, it stood out for me.
He had that guy ringing the bell every time. That's got to be good for your ego, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But the reason why it stood out for me is he had osteitis, and he never trained until he would do the last training session, the captain's run, and he'd do half an hour. And he was in pain all week until he could play.
For a while FIFO in as well.
And he was living in Geraldton. When he was in Geraldton. And Justin was up there. Justin Longmuir was up there with him. But the paper got onto it, or the reporters got onto it with about 3 games to go.
Yeah.
The whole year he performed at such a high level no one knew.
With osteitis pubis.
And he never trained,
He would have been in agony after every game.
He was.
Have you had that, Jordan?
No, I haven't, no. But at this day and age, you wouldn't be allowed to do anything.
No.
Wouldn't be allowed to go for a walk at home, I don't reckon.
No.
Absolutely sad news on the weekend when we heard about Adam Selwood. And I know personally, Clarkie, that you... found out this news after the game as well, or was it before the game you played?
Yeah, before the game. Yep.
How did you deal with that? You've got a long association with the Selwood family. How did that go?
Yeah, no, it was tricky, to be honest. I sort of got a call at the hotel, which I certainly wasn't expecting. But yeah, it was a call from Joe Bridie. Well, a text message saying, "Give me a call, I need to speak to you." So I knew something wasn't quite right, but. Sort of brought it up. And before the game, I was packing up the hotel room at the time, and I needed to go down and get strapped to get on the bus. So I was still busy, and it didn't quite hit me until maybe about when I was in the change room, just sitting around and thinking. And, I've got 3 brothers myself, so it certainly hits home, and obviously having a connection to the family as well. It's, you start doing a lot of thinking, and I was probably not in the right state to go out and play footy, that's for sure, for the first maybe half an hour of the game.
That's tough to, that you had to do that. Devastating news, of course. All of us have had some sort of dealings with Adam over the years, and genuinely just one of the nicest guys, would stop in the street and talk to you, just a ripping bloke. 100%. And so tragic that somebody, that a family has to deal with 2 of their brothers losing them in this way. It's the heartbreak is just so, and he's got young children. It's so awful. Yeah,
it is. I think no matter what connections anyone has in their life, whether it's young children, no children, I just think, everyone, it's as devastating as possible. I think
it's really hard to comprehend.
It's a terrible time for the family, but for the whole football world and everyone who knows the family.
Well, we saw you, Jordan, on the Footy Feast on Channel 7 on Sunday morning. You had this to say?
Pass my condolences on to their family in particular, but everyone who is battling. And I just want to say, if you ever are struggling, make sure you check in on your mates or reach out to someone because, we need to start having each other's back. So, like I said, heartfelt condolences to the family and everyone connected to them.
The other thing to that, and hearing you say that, Oscar Allen, after the Eagles won their first game of the season, in the throes of the moment, an emotional day, the West Coast Eagles winning their first game, emotional because of Adam Selwood, the players being able to get themselves through that and getting the victory. But for him to say what he said, which is
extraordinary,
he urges people to reach out.
Yes, and said that he's struggled himself and, he's been in the news a lot and everybody's, bandied around and made jokes or whatever. There's a real person behind it, as there is in all of these things. And that for him to say, I struggle, talk to somebody, it's so important, more than ever.
One of the statistics which will blow you over, so there's 2,400 odd people a year
take their own life.
Of them, 75% are male.
Yeah,
75%
right.
are male. And early this year, when I swam to Rottnest, I did it for Kai Feller Foundation.
Yes.
And that's for youths, in particular, young males. But it's not an age group.
No.
But we need to look after everyone going forward, Clarkie. And one of those things is reaching out. And I've got to say, shout out to some of my best friends. They check in with me every now and then just to make sure things are going all right.
Yeah.
And I don't think I do it enough to them, to be perfectly honest, as a friend. But it's something that means a lot, and you got to do those things.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I can agree with you. It's something I probably don't do enough as well, given a lot of my close friends are probably farmers as well, so they're quite isolated. A lot of them are male.
Less access to get help, even if they were inclined to. And that's part of the problem is that men are just less inclined to get help because they don't want to be seen as weak, or they think that people are going to form a different opinion of them if they do. But it's like that's so far from the truth. It takes strength to admit that you've got a problem. It takes strength to reach out for help. It's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign that you are doing the right thing and that you care for yourself and care for your family.
And people want to help.
They do.
But they don't know you need to help until you say it. But people want to help, and they're always there for you when you talk up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Nat. It's definitely a stigma that needs to be crushed, that's for sure. It's it's such a big thing that's relevant in our life these days, and it's tearing families apart, friendships apart, tearing the world apart pretty much. It's
nearly 7 people in Australia a day. Nearly 7 a day.
Lifeline, everybody. The number is 13 11 44, and I know that we throw that number around, but I know people that have been helped by them. They genuinely can make a difference. They can just talk. It's just literally somebody listening to you without judgment. It's all anonymous. There is nothing to be lost by giving them a call.
Oh, it's absolutely worth talking to people if you're in this situation. And I hope not giving up too much information, but Justin Longmuir, the coach of Fremantle, his wife Mel was working for Lifeline and taking a lot of calls. I've spoken to her about that.
Extraordinary work.
Fantastic. Just someone there to bounce some ideas off, to help you in a time of desperation, because you think the pain, and you mentioned to me this before, Jordan, genuine pain that you don't know how to stop.
Yeah,
and leads people into making a poor decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's certainly, something that I can never comprehend I've never been in that situation. But I do want to quickly just add there, if anyone is struggling, my door's always open. You come and have a chat to me because, I like helping people, and I'm happy to have the conversation as well.
Yeah, brilliant work. Thanks so much for talking about it, Clarkie, because I think the more people that do that, it just normalises. It normalises asking for help. So that's brilliant. Good on you.
Beautiful.
Thanks, mate.
Shaun Sport in podcast form.
Such a tragic loss over the weekend when we learned that Adam Selwood is no longer with us.
Yeah, so sad.
It's absolutely terrible after the loss of his brother Troy as well, his twin. It's been a terrible time in the football circles, but it shines a light on what's going on in society. Because a lot of people ask me about sporting people, but it's not. It's society in general.
Yeah, that's true.
Greg Heyer is our champion, former Wildcat, who's been working in this space for quite some time now and really making a difference. We thought it was a great opportunity to check in with Greg. G'day, Greg.
Morning.
Good morning, Brew, and I think you could just nail it straight away, Shaun. I think, one, obviously acknowledge the tremendous loss and to acknowledge the Selwood family and those impacted. But, yeah, it's not just an AFL issue. It's a societal issue. So well put, Shawnee.
Hey, Greg, I wanted to know, I mean, you're working in this all the time. You're doing a lot of hard yards at the moment, speaking to youths around the place, but also people who are in a bit of distress. Is it escalating?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's escalating. I think it's obviously forefront of our minds, and I think because of more access to social media,
yep.
The narrative, AFL being so polarising and consumes our life in the positive and the negative. So I think that is highlighted. I don't know if it's escalating. I think what it does do, and if we talk about legacy and honouring people, what I think it is an opportunity is that after incidents like this or tragic circumstances, there's a lot of noise and there's a little bit of momentum and then there's silence. And so I think, unfortunately in these situations now, I think it's going, okay, where do we go with it? And what is the solution and how can we be in the bigger space? But yeah, it's certainly, I think, being highlighted more and more just due to media.
Yeah, just on that, Greg, firstly, I thought it was great to see Oscar Allen talking about this because it reminds you that this is a human thing. And when people talk about it like that, it does encourage it. But if working in this space so much, what would you say to somebody who is struggling a bit? What would you recommend they do?
Mate, it's a complex thing, Ross. I think, when we look at that and it's, so to go back on it, there's a lot of elements where we go reach out and seek our support. There's obviously a massive societal issue and gap right now where, let's look at economy. There's a $90 to $120 rebate just to go see a psychologist. So if we look at the barriers and challenges, so to simply say go reach out support, I think is, not alarming. That's obviously utmost importance, and there's obviously a number of service providers, which I've been obviously hearing, on the air for the whole day. But I think, absolutely, I think that's first and foremost. But I think collectively as a society, in any industry that we're in, whether it's sport, entertainment, the mining sector, I think each organisation and our leadership, politicians, need to undertake responsibility of what can they actually do, what's the environment that they're creating, what's the stigma that's attached to mental health, because the harsh reality of it is that 9 lives a day are lost to suicide, 7 of them are men. What is the issue that's at hand? And I think that's the reluctance to open up. And there's so much stereotypes that are still attached. We've got growth. But I think it's opening up environments and conversations and looking at every opportunity that we can educate this. Sporting clubs are actually a fantastic vehicle for mental health education. Why? We feel safe in that environment. We for a moment there, we might escape our harsh reality. Sorry, I'm getting a little emotional. Yeah. And I think for us, it's that, like, at what point do we go to enough is enough? Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, and I think, every single person on air at some point will be impacted. The statistics will show that 44% of us will go for a mental health condition. And so I think it's more at some point we have to feel compelled, what can we do more? And it's actual action, it's not just talk.
I know that, Greg, your organisation, A Stitch in Time, does a lot of work in the intervention space. So it's sort of like teaching kids the resilience, teaching them, upskilling them in how to actually reach out for help, how to support one another. But for somebody, if you're looking around and going, I think that person in my life is struggling now, what can we actually do for them? What practical skills can we use?
Yeah, first and foremost, I think, great one. Now, I think, one, there's sometimes a reluctance for an individual to seek out help for a multitude of reasons, right? And they don't understand that ripple effect. And I think it's us, if we're on air and we're going at one point today, we go, I've been putting off that reaching out to someone. I think then we obviously have to go. But for the person that's seeking out support, it's looking at, well, what does it actually look like? And for individuals, for us as well, you don't need to be a part of it. So you don't need to be the solution. You can just be a part of the solution. And naturally, so many of us, when we ask someone, are you okay? Or even asking a delve deeper, like, are you worried and concerned? If an individual goes, no, I'm perfectly fine, then okay, you've done your job. if they do open up and say, no, I am struggling, natural human behaviour, every single person will do their utmost to look after them.
Yeah.
And your job is not, again, to solve the solution. It's just to be a part of it and referring them on and reaching out. And again, there is some gaps, but I think it's just being there. It's understanding just being in the mud with someone. And so often when you're in the depths of despair and you're sitting in that mud and there's no one around you, you go, I don't have any hope. And so being in the mud with someone is that ultimate shining light. And if you have a crack in the door to show that there is a little bit of hope, I think you can do tremendous things. And again, it's providing an environment that's non-judgmental, listening and just guiding, and just being there and being in the mud.
Yeah. You do amazing work. And literally
Absolutely,
you have
Greg.
saved lives, Greg. We know that. And the work that you continue to do is just incredible. So, you can really sort of take some credit for that. It's extraordinary.
Thanks, Matt. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, so A Stitch in Time, they run on donation, so
For sure.
Plenty of opportunities. Greg's socials are a good way to do that. And once again, if you do need to reach out to somebody, Lifeline is a really good way to do that as an emergency. Like if you just need someone to talk to, they're anonymous. They're just there to listen and they can just help you talk through what is worrying you. So they're an extraordinary resource, 13 11 44. Lots of help online through Beyond Blue and other organisations as well. So check them out if you need to.
Shaun Sport is a Nova podcast. For more great comedy shows like this, head to novapodcast.com.au.